Hello, I'm attorney Justin M. Kennedy with Litherland Kennedy and Associates, an estate planning and elder care law firm. Today I'm going to talk about the process our office goes through when we help a client to design their trust. Well, we start with learning about them. We learn about their family, their goals, their concerns. We need to learn about what is important to them. From there, we then move on to the rule of three. So the rule of three is all about building out the next layer of who will take over, who will receive, what's going to happen if you are not there. So we go through who would you trust to make these decisions? Who's your first choice? Well, if that person's not available, who's your second choice? Then who's your third choice? And we go through this. The way I often approach this is to ask the clients, if you passed away yesterday, now I was like yesterday, clearly it did not happen. If you passed away yesterday, who would you trust to take over? Who would you want to inherit if this was yesterday? And we just go down this rule of three, try and get at least three names. So let's start with finances. If you were unable to manage your own finances, so something happened to you yesterday, you cannot write checks anymore. Who do you trust to step in and manage the finances? Now, many married people choose their spouse to make those decisions for them, to sign those checks. But for me, I always treat married spouses as traveling together. So if one is incapacitated, the other might be incapacitated as well. So that's where I want to make sure we have three people, not including spouses. You can definitely list your spouse first. That's great. But three additional names in addition to your spouse. And if you are single, then just three names. So again, you have your first choice. And if that person's unable, then your second choice. And if both of them are unable, then your third choice. So we just go down. Who do you trust making these financial decisions? Who do you trust to manage your assets? Once we come up with those names, and again, of course, you can't always list more than three, but once you've come up with at least three, we move on to the next choice, your medical decisions. Who do you trust to make medical decisions for you? Who do you trust to talk to the doctors on your behalf to convey your medical wishes? And again, we recommend at least three names, not including spouse. Your spouse can absolutely be your first agent, but we're wanting three additional names in addition to that spouse. And most people can understand that, having that extra level of redundancy, extra level of protection. But when I now bring that rule of three to beneficiaries, that's where people sometimes get stumped. So let's talk about that. When you pass away, who do you want to inherit from you? Most people usually come to the meeting knowing that answer. And then we talk a little more. Well, what if that initial beneficiary passes away? Well, again, most people usually even have that answer. They're like, okay, well, if my child passed away, I want to go on to their children, my grandchildren. Okay, most people are comfortable with that first layer, second layer. But then remember, it's a rule of three. So then when we get to rule three, we say, okay, now something happened to that beneficiary, something happened to the next beneficiary. So in this example, child, grandchild, there's no one left. In that unlikely disaster scenario, who should inherit next? And that's where most people do not think that far down the line. And that can be incredibly important. So that could be your siblings, it could be nephews and nieces, friends. Maybe it's charities that are really special to you and you want to inherit in that event. That's something you need to think about when you are creating the estate plan. So that's where the rule of three is incredibly important for figuring out what is that next step. So again, think about the rule of three for your finances, for your medical decisions, as well as for your beneficiaries. Who do you trust to make those financial decisions, those medical decisions, and who do you want to inherit? If you would like to move forward with our office and you're in the state of California, we'd be happy to help you. If you'd like to just learn more about our office, you can go to our website, attorneyoffice.com. That's ATTORNEYOFFICE.com, where we have information about upcoming seminars and other activities where you can learn more about us. Thank you.